Well, 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 what do you know? Electronic throttle control, warning light on the Jeep. Fantastic. You know, the last time this happened to me, I was driving up to Flagstaff, pushing it, 75 up the freeway, up the grades, bam. So, I don't know what the problem is. I'm gonna reset it, go from there. Okay, well, I reset it. Well, I restarted the engine, opened the door, closed the door, do all that nonsense. The light is gone. I'm gonna carry on. It should be okay. Same thing happened last time. I reset it, went away, but not sure why it's doing it, and nobody can tell me why it's doing it. So, all right, let's go. Well, I appreciate you stopping by and giving me a heads up.
I live right there. I live right here, and I figured I'd better come tell you.
Well, I got to where I thought was the beginning of this trail, and it's closed. And it is barricaded off pretty big here. In fact, I was just sitting here looking at the map, and a local guy named Rick pulled up. Kind of gave me some directions on what to do here, but this used to be Forest Road 71, but you can see it is barricaded off here. Used to go down through that way. But according to Rick, that wash gets quite a bit of water when we get big storms. And right down the road here was the site of where 3 kids got swept away a couple years ago and died in the flood. So that was really a really sad story here up in Tonto Basin. So Rick gave me the 411 on where to go, and I'm gonna head that way. Hey everybody, welcome back to Trail 89 Adventures. I'm Todd. Today I am looking for the DuPont Cabin. I am northeast of Roosevelt Lake and east of Four Peaks, just outside of Tonto Basin, Arizona. You can see Four Peaks right back there. It still has some snow up there on the top. Now, my journey has already been full of some interesting experiences. Number one, the issue that I had on the Beeline Highway coming up here with electronic throttle control light coming on, but there was a second light that also came on that hasn't cleared, and I need to look and see what that is. I thought that it was check engine, but I'm not so sure. So the light that I'm talking about, that guy right there, I mean, it looks like an engine, right? You'd think it is check engine. So pulled out the old nifty difty owner's manual. How many of you look at your owner's manual? And this is what I found. So this was the light here that I had, electronic throttle control, which is the same light that I got before after a prolonged uphill climb at high speed. Here it is, right here. AdBlue urea injection system failure warning light if equipped. So essentially the DEF fluid for my diesel warning light came on. This is the exact same problem I had last time. I was doing a prolonged uphill climb, 70 plus miles an hour, going up to Flagstaff. However, my DEF fluid is pretty full. See? Right there. It's 2/3 full. There's no reason why that should be coming on. And when you run low on DEF fluid, or you run out of DEF fluid on the diesel, it throws the code for the electronic throttle control and governs your speed down to like 45 miles an hour when you're on a highway, which is not a good situation. You immediately have to pull off. So that's what I did. And I reset the engine, basically turned it off, opened the door, closed the door, all that stuff, restarted it, and it cleared the electronic throttle control, but the DEF fluid light's still on. Last time when this happened, I added some DEF fluid to it and then it reset itself, and the dealership couldn't even find any codes. Well, enough of that. Let's go find DuPont Cabin. This trail is not supposed to be all that difficult. It is pretty warm today. It's going to be pushing 100 degrees. And I want to get up in a little bit of higher elevation. I'm about 5 miles into this trail right now, and I've already climbed about 1,000 feet in elevation. So, all right, let's go. You know, I've been driving on this trail for just about 10 miles now, and I came across around this hill and saw this cliff edge over here, and just the sheer rock face of it looked super cool. So I decided to get some closer up shots of it, and what you can't see from far away, what you can see up close, totally different depending on how the sun is shining and if the sun's in your eyes, right? Versus is the sun shining on the rocks? Completely different visuals. So I think these views from this vantage point are awesome. So hopefully see some more of this along the way. Well, driving along here and something piqued my curiosity, so I gotta go check it out. I don't know what this message board phone tree thing is. This is interesting. What is going on here? I guess you can take the chalk and leave a message on this board. So I've never seen that before. It's kind of interesting. There is an old cattle tank over there, watering trough or something, but look at this ground. It looks like they came through and like ran a bushwhacker through here or something. Maybe this was a burn area and they cleaned up all the ground clutter. But look at this whole area. It's unique. I've never seen this like this before, or I've never seen the ground like this before. So I wonder if it's some kind of wildfire mitigation, but still all this stuff could burn. Some pretty good cliffs over here. Oh, you can barely see the moon right up there. Barely see it. Well, I haven't seen anybody else on this trail except for when I first started it. There was a pickup truck with a trailer and looks like a rancher on a UTV or something, but that was probably, I don't know, 8-9 miles ago. So I'm going to continue on. We just crossed through that little wash crossing, and this trail got really rocky right after that. Up to that point, it was just a dirt road. So you can see here, it's just broken up rock. It's still not difficult. It's just a lot more bumpy. Got to the top of this hill, and there's a cattle gate here, and this is actually the first time I saw some cattle were right down here hiding under some trees getting some shade. You can tell this looks like this gate was recently replaced with some new posts, some new wire. In fact, there's the old one laying right down in there. But great vantage point up here of views. Oh, you can actually see lake out there way off in the distance. And then Four Peaks, which we were looking at earlier. So we're on the east side of Roosevelt Lake and east side of Four Peaks. And Mount Ord. Nice and scenic so far, and you can actually see up here on the hill, we got some more trees and green growth. Oh, looks like another trail here, 1416. I'm gonna have to check that, see if that's a good trail. You can see it goes all the way down there. All right, gonna continue on to the ranch. I don't think we're all that far from it. Have to check the map and see exactly how far, but not that far. So on this particular trail, right now I'm at the 3.8 mark from the turnoff, waypoint 9, and the cabin is at waypoint 12. That's 5.6 miles in. So we are not, yeah, maybe, what, 2 miles? 2.5 miles? Something like that. From the cabin. So we're getting closer. We are getting closer. And I've got some good news. It appears that the death light has gone off. It disappeared. Probably after a few start-stop cycles. You can see I got no warning light there now. That's a good thing. Baffling, but it's a good thing. 5,904 feet in elevation. Got 3,700 feet ascent, 5,900 feet in elevation. All right, so I came up over the saddle and now we're into the pine trees. So we're going down into this little valley here at the top of the mountain. And I think we're getting closer to the cabin. We don't have that much further to go. Ah, this is the part of Arizona that I love. Well, I love the desert too. But who doesn't like driving through the pine trees? I mean, come on, gang. Now we're talking. Looks like we got ourselves a little seasonal creek here. Definitely some water flowing in there recently. It's a little muddy. And the bugs are all flying around here, so definitely was some water in there recently. All right, just came to the entrance to the cabin here. I see it right there down on the little hill. Let's go check this thing out. Nobody else is here. That's always cool. Having stuff to yourself. Let's go check this thing out. You know, once I turn the engine off on the Jeep, you can just hear the breeze blowing through the pine trees. Pretty cool. Just kind of relaxing, actually. All right, I think this thing was built late 1800s, early 1900s, something like that. I don't see anything in there, so I had to take my sunglasses off. No bears, no snakes. Some chili over there if you want some chili. I could see this being like a massive beehive. This roof pillar here is only probably 5 feet off the ground. And yeah, there's something over there. There might be some bees in this baby. I think I'll keep away from that. All right. It's so bright out here, it's so dark in there. Windows are boarded up. Let's walk around here and see what else we got. Old bed frame. There's always a bed frame. These cabins are 10 million years old. Well, you know, 100 years old or whatever. There's always some old metal bed frame. Nothing else. So I guess this part maybe was used for storage or a stable, or maybe you put your horse in there. I don't know. This part is definitely falling down. Well, it is a little bit cooler up here, especially in the shade. I'm sure it's pretty toasty down in Phoenix area. Over here across from the cabin, got looks like a corral. Well, the most difficult part of this trail has been the switchbacks. Pretty steep, very rocky, and with pretty much every other switchback, it's on a shelf road. But if you can handle that, pretty cool trail. So if you think about this cabin, I mean, it's max like 10 feet tall at the center of the roof. And then you look at these trees behind it. I mean, those trees have got to be 50, 60 feet tall, right? I mean, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, somewhere in that range. And they're all pretty tall up here. Some older growth trees, which is neat. Unfortunately, the wildfires take out a lot of these trees every single year. So some of these areas which were nicely forested, man, the fires rip through there and they're gone. And the amount of time it takes for the area to recover is pretty significant. So it's awesome that these trees are still up here right around this cabin. this trail really gets up here into the backwoods, and the part right after the cabin is super rocky. I just came to a little clearing area, and it looks like the trail I'm on, which is 236, intersects with 2738. And right off the side of the road here, there's this old looking bulldozer. An old, is it a cat? Maybe? This thing is old, man. Yeah, it's an old Caterpillar. D4D. I wonder if they still use this thing. Well, gotta check it out, right? Of course. It's like something living in the seat, right? Of course. I mean, those hoses, the outer hoses right there, don't look crazy old. Looks like it's leaking. What would it be if it wasn't leaking? I wonder if they use this thing for trail maintenance or something. Let me check that out. If that thing still works, that would be incredible. Well, it looks like somebody was working on it. 15W40. Huh. It's like a point of interest, I guess you could say, right?
One guy. White pickup. There he is.
I see it. How you doing?
How you guys doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. Doing the loop. I just was at the cabin. And
Were you?
yeah, you going that way?
Yeah, we're just deciding. He's got kind of a low ground clearance because of his front damper, air damper. Not just taking him around. Did you stop?
Just stopped and passed a couple of guys. One guy was in a Jeep, one guy was in a pickup truck going the other way, and we couldn't have stopped at a better place because he was already pulled off the trail in a spot, and there really weren't any other places to pull off except for right where he did, and that's where we met up. So that was awesome. So good to see those guys. Hope they have a good trip. I also wanted to take a look at this. We're coming around here. This is a shelf road now. Pretty good drop off, and the trail goes up around here and over, so we're going to be following that. About 25 miles into the trail right now, and this loop that I'm doing is about 40 miles, so about 15 more miles to go. Well, I've been out here most of the day. It's about 5:15, and this section of trail on the north side of this loop that I'm doing, man, it's just been super bumpy and super rocky. I needed to take a break because my whole body is just shaking. Like, it's just one of those trails. But you know, I think looking on this trail so far, the switchbacks coming up the hill were great, and being able to look over to the west into the Tonto Basin area. and see the elevation gain. I was surprised. I think my highest point on this trail so far was over 6,000 feet in elevation. So that was interesting. It is still warm up here, but I think back down in Phoenix it's 100 degrees, because I just got an alert on my phone saying we tied some record or exceeded a record or one of those things. I don't know, but it's still pretty warm up here. But it is nice. It is the weather is enjoyable. So I'm going to see what else this trail has in store for me here, and take a walk back to the Jeep here and stretch my legs a little bit. But the cabin up there, DuPont Cabin, was a neat thing to go explore. But yeah, scenery's good, and I'll get back on the trail here in a couple minutes. That's a great looking shot right there. Check that out. I was wondering when I was going to start descending, because I'm still at 5,300 feet in elevation. This looks like it might be the beginning of the descent. Well, I came around the corner and saw this canyon wall. The sun's hitting it, lighting it up, getting into the golden hour. Just to give you additional reference of where I am. So this loop trail, Four Peaks, is over there. So I just kind of did a loop, and Tonto Basin is down here at the bottom. Wrapping up this trail, about 41 miles. I think I have another mile and a half to go to get to the end, but golden hours among us. You can see from the hills in the background here exactly what that sun does and how it lights that up and makes it look so beautiful in the afternoon. Hope you enjoyed the video, everybody. Thanks for watching.